Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. If you've ever looked at one of those tiny little vials in a laboratory and wondered how scientists manipulate the microscopic, totally invisible world with such extreme precision, well, you are in exactly the right place. For today's masterclass, I'm going to be adopting my absolute favorite persona. You can go ahead and call me Dr. Chem. Together, we're going to pull back the curtain on the laboratory math that literally makes modern science possible. We're talking about the ultimate insider tools today: serial and multi-step dilutions.
Okay, let's dive right in. Consider this really brilliant analogy to get us started. Mix two solutions together and they both get diluted. Think of it like ping pong balls in a bucket. You've got a 5-gallon empty bucket and you drop in 5 ping pong balls. Then you add 1 gallon of water. So what's the concentration? It's 5 ppb, or ping pong balls per gallon. I absolutely love this analogy because it perfectly illustrates the physical reality of adding a solvent. When you dilute a solution, you aren't taking away the ping pong balls, right? The molecules of your solute are still there. You're really just increasing the space they get to swim in. The actual amount of the stuff you care about stays exactly the same. It's just spread out over a much larger volume.
So, here is our syllabus for today's masterclass. We'll start with Part 1, the art of dilution, followed by 2, the golden dilution equation. Then we'll cover 3, mastering serial dilutions, compare them in Part 4, simple versus serial dilutions, check out a modern algorithm in Part 5, the modified dilution equation, and finally wrap up with Part 6, real-world lab applications.
All right, jumping right into Section 1, the art of dilution. Let's talk about stock solutions. Think about making orange juice from one of those cans of frozen concentrate. You take that super thick, sugary frozen juice, you add a bunch of water, and boom, you just performed a dilution. Well, in the lab, we do the exact same thing. Our starting material is called a stock solution. It's basically a highly concentrated solution that requires watering down with a solvent. Now, why do we even use them? Honestly, because it is incredibly impractical to keep thousands of bottles of every single possible concentration taking up space on the shelf. Instead, we keep a nice, stable stock solution and we just dilute it down when we need it. We're adding solvent without adding any more solute, so the initial moles of your chemical, those ping pong balls, remain completely constant.
Moving on to Section 2, the golden dilution equation, M1V1 equals M2V2.
Because here's the thing about chemistry, just eyeballing it like we do with our morning orange juice, yeah, that just isn't going to cut it. We need the mathematical proportionality you see right here. M1 over M2 equals V2 over V1. This right here is the foundation of the golden equation, which you'll almost always see written out as M1V1 equals M2V2. The M stands for molarity, that's your concentration, and the V stands for volume. What's really fascinating here is how molarity and volume are perfectly inversely proportional. Check out the example. 6 molar divided by 1 molar equals 30 milliliters divided by 5 milliliters. As your volume goes up, your concentration absolutely must go down. Because again, the total number of moles, the ping pong balls in our bucket, never ever changes.
Now, to prevent those super common, frustrating lab errors, like mixing up your units or totally messing up the final volume, you really have to follow a stepwise problem analysis. Step 1, identify what you actually know. What is your initial concentration and volume? Step 2, determine your target. What's the final concentration or volume you're actually trying to achieve? And step 3, apply that M1V1 equals M2V2 formula and solve for your single unknown variable. I know, it sounds super simple, right? But a rigorous step-by-step approach is exactly what separates a highly precise chemist from a really messy one. And hey, pro tip, always double-check that your volume units match on both sides of the equation.
All right, Section 3, Mastering Serial Dilutions. Let's look at a step-by-step process.
So, stepping up from basic stock preparation, let's get into some advanced techniques. I actually want to pose an excellent question I found straight from a biology forum on the internet. Somebody asked, why is serial dilution even a thing? Why can't you just mix the sample with one huge amount of fluid? Honestly, it's a fantastic question. Let's say you have a 10 molar stock of hydrochloric acid, and you only need 200 milliliters of a super weak 0.01 molar solution. If you run the golden equation we just talked about, you'll find you need to extract 0.00020 liters of your stock. That is just 0.2 milliliters. In a standard lab setting, trying to accurately measure out 0.2 milliliters and just drop it into a massive flask of water, it's incredibly difficult. The physical impossibility of measuring such microscopic volumes without losing a massive amount of accuracy is exactly why serial dilutions exist.
So instead of trying to do one massive, completely impossible jump, a serial dilution does it in manageable, bite-sized stages. Just look at this four-fold dilution as an example.
We take 1 milliliter from tube number 1, which is sitting at 16 molar, and we add it to 3 milliliters of water in tube number 2, which gives us a total of 4 milliliters. We've effectively diluted it by a factor of 4, dropping the concentration down to 4 molar. Then we just do it again. We take 1 milliliter of that new solution and move it over to the next tube, and so on. 16 molar becomes 4 molar, which becomes 1 molar, which becomes 0.25 molar. These sequential aliquots step the concentration down super reliably, using easy-to-measure volumes without ever needing a giant, totally impractical vat of water.
1000. I really want to highlight the sheer mathematical power of the logarithmic scale that's happening here. By repeating the exact same simple action over and over, you create this incredible compounding effect. If you do a 1 to 10 dilution just 3 times, so transferring 1 milliliter into 9 milliliters of fluid 3 steps in a row, you drop your concentration by a factor of 1,000. A 1,000-fold drop in concentration achieved in just 3 simple, highly accurate physical steps. That, my friends, is the absolute magic of serial dilution. Moving into Section 4, Simple versus Serial Dilutions. It's all about choosing the right tool for the job.
A master chemist knows exactly when to use which tool, right? So let's juxtapose these two techniques directly. A simple dilution is just a single step. It creates an immediate concentration change and is generally meant for easier, everyday laboratory preparation, kind of like making our orange juice. But a serial dilution, that is a deliberate step-by-step process. It creates a gradual concentration change, and it is entirely designed for highly accurate quantification. Basically, if you need a quick, single ratio prep, use simple. But if you need to hit extreme, pinpoint precision, or you're trying to make a logarithmic calibration curve, you absolutely must use serial dilution. Up next, Section 5, the modified dilution equation. Let's talk about the modern lab workflow. Okay, so we've covered the classics, but here is a very real modern dilemma. The standard C₁V₁ equation works great for humans working with glass beakers, but when we try to program robotics or write computer software to do serial dilutions automatically, the classic equation actually fails to give the computer the specific parameters it needs. Enter the modified dilution equation, or MD. D equals C1 times P divided by C2 times V2. This is such a brilliant modification because it introduces P, which stands for the pipetted delivery volume. It calculates D, the full dilution required. By telling the algorithm exactly how much fluid the robot's pipette can actually physically handle at one time, the math perfectly aligns with the physical limits of the robotic hardware. It's a real game changer.
And you can see how this math translates directly into modern lab software. On one side, we've got a graph showing the logarithmic behavior of D in that modified equation. It basically dictates whether a stock needs to be pre-diluted based on if D is greater or less than 1. On the other side, check out the interface for an Android program called the Dilution app. By using this modified equation, the app generates perfect, foolproof, step-by-step serial dilution instructions. It completely prevents human error by calculating exactly how many times a stock needs to be serially diluted based on your exact pipetted volume limits. Honestly, it's an absolute lifesaver in modern biochemistry.
And finally, Section 6, Real-World Lab Applications. This is the life-changing science.
So it's time to bring all of this together. Why does this math actually matter to us? Well, just look at the applications here. In microbiology, serial dilutions are used to take a super dense soup of bacteria and dilute it down so far that you can actually isolate and grow a culture from one single microscopic cell. In pharmacology, achieving precise logarithmic dosing literally means the difference between a life-saving medicine and a toxic hazard. Complex analytical chemistry tools completely rely on these logarithmic calibration curves just to function properly. Even calculating the limiting reactants in everyday devices like police breathalyzers relies on an absolute fundamental understanding of chemical concentrations. The math we've covered today, it is the invisible scaffolding of modern health and safety.
I want to wrap up this explainer by leaving you with a bit of a thought-provoking challenge. Because serial dilutions are step-by-step, a single tiny error in an early step doesn't just add up, it exponentially impacts your final concentration. The mistake literally multiplies all the way down the line. So whether you're dosing critical medicine, measuring environmental pollutants, or even just learning the ropes in Chemistry 101, how carefully are you calculating the invisible world around you? Thank you so much for joining Dr. Kem's Masterclass today. Keep questioning, keep calculating, and I will see you in the next explainer.